Welcome to Bosco Campus Vision. You're watching the campus television channel of Don Bosco College, Kottayam. This lecture is on the prescribed syllabus of 5th semester BA English Literature and Language. The paper is Literary Criticism. In this lecture, I am going to deal with classical criticism, or you can say as classicism. The origins of classicism are traceable to the golden age of Greece, the 5th century BC, one of the greatest periods of cultural development in Western civilization. Classicism is also associated with the age of Cicero and Augustus in Rome, and the Enlightenment periods of France, England, and Germany. They had a marked sense of appropriateness in structure, style, and subject, worked with what was fitting and dignified. Some of the characteristics of this classical criticism are chasteness in style, severity of outline, moderation, self-control, intellectualism, respect for tradition, imitation, conservatism, maturity, good sense. The writers of ancient Greece and Rome achieved excellence and established enduring models in the entire major literary genre. These writers used in literary works a sense of restraint and of restricted scope, a dominance of reason, a sense of form, and a unity of purpose and design. Symmetry, continuity, smoothness, harmony, and logic were all the characteristics they strived for their works. Clarity was especially important to the Greeks, emphasizing the communication was an act of information transmission between multiple individuals rather than the self-expression by a single individual. For the Greeks, conversation and reason went hand in hand. They also valued passion, the overindulgence of intense emotion. Next, let's see the genres of the ancient classical writers. The major genres of the ancient classical writers were pastoral, tragedy, and epic. First, pastoral. The writer is Theocritus. His work is Idylls. Writer Bion and his work Adonis. Writer Moschus and his work is Bion. Another genre is tragedy. Writer Euripides, age 485 to 406 BC, and his work is Medea. Aeschylus, 525 to 456 BC. Sophocles, 496 to 406 BC, and name of the work is Oedipus Rex. Quintilian, AD 35 to 96. Next genre is epic. Virgil, 70 to 19 BC, Aeneid. Next is Homer, and name of the works Iliad and Odyssey. Next is classicism in English literature. In English literature, classicism is an important force since Renaissance times. The humanists became conscious of classical doctrine, and even such an essentially romantic artist as Spenser felt strongly under its influence, endeavouring to imitate such as Virgil and Homer. Sir Philip Sidney, though he wrote pastoral romances, speaks mainly as a classicist in his critical essay, The Defence of Poesy. Ben Jonson, who stands as the stoutest Renaissance advocate of classicism, both in dramatic criticism and in his influence on English poetry. Milton has been said to show a perfect balance of romanticism and classicism. The classical attitude, largely under French inspiration, triumphed in the Restoration and Augustan ages, and John Dryden and Joseph Edison and Alexander Pope, together with Samuel Johnson of the next generation, stand as classical or neoclassical spirit in literature and criticism. Though 19th century was largely romantic, the vitality of classical attitude is shown by the critical wings of such thinkers as Cardinal Newman, Matthew Arnold, and Walter Pater. In the 20th century, there has been a strong revival of classical attitudes in the literary practice, and the critical principles of such writers as T.E. Hume, Wyndham Lewis, T.S. Eliot, and Ezra Pound, and a good deal of the most distinguished poetry and criticism today is of classicism. The austere sentiment of order animated the criticism of Irving Babbitt, Paul Elmer, Alan Tate, Hugh Kenner, and Guy Davenport. Next is classical literary criticism. Classical literary criticism takes its origin from classical philosophy. It was in the early 4th century, mostly from out of the views held by Plato and Aristotle, who for the first time made a sustained and systematic inquiry into the nature of art and its modes of existence. Western literary criticism took its shape as an independent discipline. The whole of Western critical tradition grew out of these two founding fathers. But as we go farther back in time, the poets and scholars might have raised questions pertaining to art and did offer some opinion on how to judge works of art. This early criticism, we can put together the available scattered notions about art out of this early critical writing. The basic provisos of such early criticism have come to be called proto-criticism. The earliest classical criticism extols the poet. He is thought to be a guiding star and the guardian angel of the society. He is the lawgiver, moral teacher. He is inspired by the divine muse who grants him special powers to please his audience and bring them knowledge not available elsewhere. Hence, he is the prophet as well as the priest. The Romans conferred the title of Vates on the poet. The poet was on a par with the prophet. David's psalms are nothing short of sheer poetry. Romantic theories that we have associated with the 18th century come close to such a belief about the poet's role in society. In Homer and Pindar, among others, one notices the function assigned to the poet. God provides the poets the means by which they achieve excellence in speech in addition to the wisdom that they convey to the people. They are the mediating agents between the gods and the people. Now let's talk about Aristophanes. Aristophanes, the Greek poet, was the one who first spoke about the rights and duties of a poet. He was a social reformer and satirist. He echoed the view that the poet's function is to teach people to become responsible Greek citizens. He is one of the founding fathers of ancient literary criticism. His Phrox is the earliest attempt at practical criticism in which the playwright weighs the merits of Aeschylus and Euripides as stylists. The conflicting views of both these poets as weighed and considered by Dionysius, patron and god of the theatre of festivals. In his literary judgment, based on commitment to moral values, Aristophanes displays his taste and deep insight into the phenomenon of artistic creation. He takes into consideration factors such as the choice of language in poetry and drama, and factors that constitute merit in art with concrete examples. His selective and apt quotations from the work under examination and his perceptive comments are similar to the analysis practiced by present day critics. In this lecture, I discussed about classical criticism or classicism. Do the given exercise and submit on time. Thank you.